Welcome to the Enlightened Musician Podcast, a podcast all about the music business and learning how to turn your art into an equally successful business, flipping the mentality of a starving artist into a profitable, sustainable career. Each week, we will interview someone that is excelling in their field and talk tips and tricks on how you can implement that for yourself. Because honestly, how can you know what you don't know until you've been enlightened? All right, so last week's episode was amazing. We talked about a lot of things, but one thing that I want to mention from Amber's episode that we talked about was batching and automation. So this week, I'm going to actually take a time to focus on batching specifically, and then in 2 weeks, I'll go into automation. So batching is one of my favorite things to do and has actually been a game changer for me. And let me kind of go into that, and I'm going to give you 2 examples of things that I did this year that batching just solved so many things in my life. So let me explain what exactly batching is. And by this batching, I'm talking about content batching. So rather than rush to create new content the same day or during the week when you're already strapped for time, the art of batching involves planning, then implementing everything in one sitting. So for a day, you plan out what you want to do for a specific timeline. And for another day, you sit and create all of those things, all your social media posts, your music release, video content, or visuals, you name it. Anything that does not have to require a live format for. The idea is that you do a whole set of something all in one sitting. So let me give you an example from something I did this year. So on the internet, it probably looks like I'm coming out with a song a month and that all the content is just like I'm doing it every month and it's just I'm on top of my game. Realistically, I actually planned the whole 6-month release in one day. So I actually was on an airplane going to a college show when I was actually doing all this, and I actually really love flying for this reason because I think with batching, you need to be in a space or a place that you've blocked out all social media, you've blocked off any other person, and you take one day to plan a certain time frame. So for me, I planned 6 months. For you, it could be a month, it could be 3 months, 6 months. I would not encourage a year just because sometimes that's an overwhelm. But for mine, specifically, that's an ocean, specifically was actually for 6 months, I wanted to release 6 singles. So when I was on the airplane, it was around April. So on that airplane, I decided, all right, these are the 6 songs that I want to release. So I went through all my songs. And again, I already had these songs, 6 songs that I wanted to release. I also knew I wanted to do 6 music videos with those because recently I've just found that my content does better when I have video content with it. So I decided to do something a little crazy this time. I decided I wanted to record all of those videos in one day. So on that April date, while I was sitting on the airplane, I picked the dates that I was going to release all those songs, and I also picked the topics for each music video. And I knew it would not be obtainable to do a full music video for each song. And so I decided, well, if I'm going to do it all in one day, I need to do what's called a visualizer. And that was just a really quick music video take. So like one of the songs that I came out with, If I Could Only Love You, I'm literally sitting up against a wall and it's a one shot, one take where it kind of zooms in, zooms out, and I'm just singing along to the song. But I just wanted a visual. So I literally sat down on that airplane ride, which was maybe like 2 or 3 hours, and planned the 6 songs and the 6 videos. So that being the case, I had my whole entire topics, timeline. The next step, what I did was in June, I picked a day with my videographer and had it already timed out. And again, I planned this in April of what videos I would do. So in June, I already recorded those and I knew I was going to get them back by the end of the month. So July was actually the first date, and April again, let me mind you, that I planned to start releasing my content. So starting in July, I had everything automated, which we'll talk about in the next one. So everything that I had planned on that April date, and the batching part was actually in June, where I recorded all of the videos and I planned the release dates. So then now, in July through January and actually February now, I have content that's coming out every month that I already planned in April, and I'm doing nothing. So that's the first part of batching. Let me give you another example. One of my other favorite things, as you could tell earlier, I'm not a huge fan of just being on social media all the time because even though I really like it, it really is a time suck. And also, as far as social media goes, you can never be constantly just on the go with beautiful pictures, doing anything, going anywhere. So I actually like to batch my content on Instagram especially, and I automate it, which we'll talk about in the next one again, to other social media platforms. So let's actually just give you an example. So my favorite thing to do is actually hire a photographer to take multiple outfits in multiple locations all in one take. So a good friend of mine, McKenna, and she's with 1828 Collective, does a lot of my Instagram pictures. What I do, I actually hired her for 1 hour, and it looks chaotic in the moment, but it actually works out really beautifully in the back end. And we actually had an hour. I had multiple outfits, and we took as many different photos in just multiple locations as we could in an hour. So I wore the same pants and just changed tops. So we started at my office and then just went downtown and walked downtown in an hour and just, like I said, put a different jacket on, took a top and put a different top on, and just as many as we could get an hour. And I think we got about 126 an hour. So that's a little bit on overdrive. Let's actually talk about batching, because batching is taking a huge task and breaking it down into actionable items. So I'm actually going to give you a scenario. We're going to talk about planning your content for 30 days. Let's just say that you want to have something every day of the month on Instagram, but you don't want it to only be pictures, you want it to be videos as well. So that means if you split that in half, you would want 15 pictures and 15 videos. Obviously, I would not recommend posting every day on Instagram, but just for numbers, we're going to do 30 days. So if you wanted to post a picture every other day, and that would be 15 pictures, you would do about 3 outfits. So if you had 1 hour, if you had a photographer, it'd be pretty easy. If you don't have that kind of finance, you can always get a tripod or a friend. Do a little mini photo shoot for an hour, and in those 3 outfits, take about 5 pictures each in those 3 outfits. So with those 3 outfits, you'll have 5 pictures, which will be 15 posts. Done. 1 hour. The other thing you can do for the videos is the same thing. Pick about 15 songs, about 1 minute, maybe chorus, verse chorus of an original or a cover tune, and just sit down in one location, put your chair, your piano, your guitar, play a song, switch tops, play the next song, pull your hair up, anything that can kind of just make it look a little different. And probably in 1 or 2 hours, because if it's 1 minute, 15, obviously it's probably going to take longer than that until you kind of get used to it. And in a couple hours, you'll have about 15 videos. So for 1 month, if you at least designated times the month prior to do like a photo shoot, whether that be with a professional photographer or just yourself or a friend, taking pictures on your cell phone, and then you do a video the same way, either by yourself or with a videographer, that's about 3 to 5 hours where you've already have your content for 30 days. And like I said, in the next one, I'll actually teach you how to automate that, where then the next month, you do nothing but let the content actually upload on its own. And so earlier I said I wouldn't advise doing 30 days. We were just doing that for the math. But if you allow time, that spaces that aren't open, it leaves room for being spontaneous. So, for instance, when I'm on my trips and I take a picture of the college I just played, I can just upload that and pull my content for when I need content. So your batching is using it so you never have a lull. But it also leaves you room when you want to be spontaneous. You can just upload pictures or video in the moment. But batching is just a secure way to know that you will always have content, or at least that you'll have room for other things as well, while that just goes on autopilot. Huge game changer for me. So these last 2, just taking time to actionably plan a huge task and put them in bite-sized pieces and do it all at once, has given me so much time and so much room for things that I was doing weekly trying to create content or daily. That's a nightmare trying to figure out something inspirational and something just that looks great every day. It's actually not a good use of your time. It's so much better to do it all at once and have it like automated and batched. And you can actually do what you need to in those days, which is writing music or networking, anything that you do live or just honestly having a life. It's just such a better business move. So I hope this has helped at least kind of define what batching is. And like I said, you can do this with plenty of different things. Anything that is a large task that you can break down into actionable items that you can do all at one time. So not next week, but the following week, I'm actually going to dive into automation. So taking what you did in batching and putting it on autopilot. So look for that self episode and let me know what else you would like to learn about or hear about at the website, which is theenlightenedmusician.com. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us this week on the Enlightened Musician podcast. Make sure to visit our website, theenlightenedmusician.com, where you can subscribe to the show on your platform of choice so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, this is Lauren Light.